Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to talk about today.
Good.
I'm not convinced what we're going to talk about is a bad thing yet. Has potential to be bad, has potential to be good as well. We're going to throw this out to you guys, but we're also going to really talk about how this whole thing, the subject, is so unnecessary, and how close it is to being something really cool, yet similar with everything in BFA, just slightly misses the mark and shoots it in a completely argumentative sort of quagmire that's going to upset some players and annoy others and make other people relatively happy, I think.
Okay.
We're talking about the Benthic Lottery.
Oh,
the
boy.
Benthic Lottery. So, as many of you have probably realized recently, if you've been checking out streams and taking part in discussions, and of course preparing for Raid, so this is really a Raider topic, is that the Benthic armor has is, in many cases, for several classes and specs, actually the best possible armor you can get for your character for the entire tier.
And that is good. I'm completely okay with that. I want to say that right now. I think that's completely okay.
That's it. It's your BIS. We actually have a return to BIS. That's what people wanted, right?
Hey!
Oh, they give with one hand and they take...
No, it's not. You guys think that it's not? Well, here's why I... Oh, okay. Oh, let's just get to the video. I've already paused three times in 1 minute.
Take away with the other, because yes, that's kind of what we wanted, dude, but that's not how we wanted it. I mean, can we just get it nice and wrapped up in a nice tidy package? Why must it be this way, Blizzard? I don't know. So if you're unsure as to how a max upgraded Benthic piece, which is 425, can even come close to beating a 455, which is what the max Titan Forge will be when the gear ceiling rises.
It's the secondary stats, or the effect.
It's simple. The Benthic armor comes with affixes, right?
Yeah,
You guys
that's
have
awesome.
probably seen this in the new Zone Nazjatar, and some of those are... They're suffering from the same problem as the essences, which means they are generic bonuses across a whole slew of classes and specs.
Yeah.
One thing we know, all the classes and specs play differently. That's a good thing. Variety is the spice of life. But Blizzard is fighting this war with themselves that their gear is boring. They're fully aware of it. They're quite open about it, to be honest.
Somebody invite me to
we
a
did
realm
look
where
at
this
that
rare
big
stuff.
talk at a convention with the guy who designed World of Warcraft's loot way back in the day.
I remember
where
this.
they knew back then, it's like, our loot is
this.
boring, dude. And it kind of needs to be, because when we make super weird items, it tends to fuck up the game somewhere.
Yeah,
and that really screws
That's what
things
makes
up.
it good.
And I know some people are like, screw balance, let's just have fun. That's fine in like a sandbox world of like Diablo and things like that. But when you apply that to a persistent world MMO, it really sucks. I've played an imbalanced MMO. This is the only thing that happens is everybody plays one spec. Because that's the imbalanced one. Everybody plays it. And the whole game becomes just like Hunters. That would be it. The entire...
Final destination, Fox only, no items. Like, what he's saying is kind of true. You go and you watch a private server video. They have, like, 20 rogues, 20 warriors, and, somehow there's other people in there as well. That's true. Like, obviously, people always gravitate towards a meta. And this is going to happen in any game that's not dynamic and changing regularly. I don't really know how much you can really fix that.
Game would be Hunters because they're broken, right? And then suddenly it's like Rogue's the broken one because we're having all this imbalance, crazy fun. Everybody just plays a Rogue. It's super boring. It doesn't work. It generally ruins the whole game. So these affixes are things like bonus critical strike damage, right? Something simple. But remember, this is on one item, and this item still comes with secondary stats and main stats. It's not like it's void of all the other stuff that the mythic piece would have.
Yeah,
but
it just has the bonus
stat.
stat.
Now, if you're a character, I'm just making this simple, if you're a character who crits heavy and a lot, then bonus critical strike damage is massive. It's so big. It's so much extra damage that even 30 item levels of raw stats can't beat the fact that your character is producing all this extra damage from these bonus critical strikes, right? So that's how you need to think about it. This is how powerful some of these affixes are. Now, it varies on a spec-by-spec basis of how many Benthic pieces are best for you. In some cases, it's like 4 pieces. Of
I think for me, it's like 3 or 4.
Best in slot.
It's something like that. It's
World
insane.
Quest, easy content. They're the best armor you're going to get. And the important thing to remember this, and this is why some people are really having a problem with this, is that it's the best armor you can get before like the new raid and the new Mythic Plus season even starts. You have like potentially 4 slots done already. If you have a crafting profession, or 2 crafting professions, that's another 3 slots of gear, which are pretty much done, because with crafting professions, you can get your best possible stats. Even though, again, the item level is lower.
It's going to be great.
You can get the best possible stats and a guaranteed gem slot, which is huge. Huge bonus to your character.
Yep.
And it would take a ridiculously good, super rare, really difficult to get drop to replace an idyllic piece of gear, which is what you can get from profession slots, and that takes up another 3. So that's like 7 of your character slots. The neck, obviously, you're not going to replace because it's the Heart of Azeroth.
Oh,
so
shit,
8.
that's too bad.
And then we think about Azerite armor, which is relatively abundant, and once you've got it, it doesn't do anything else, right? Because it's kind of harking back to this old system of tier gear, where you can kind of see the conflict in what Blizzard's trying to do now, where they're still trying to mix it with like the old systems, and it's causing this like muddle, and it's really
they don't know what
horrible,
they don't know what they want to do.
Armor,
That's basically what it is. They don't know what they
slots,
want to do.
which are like done and dusted. So you have in some cases like up to nearly 11 slots of gear, which are done like really, really quickly when the new season starts. Not only that, the remaining slots, which are like trinkets and weapons and things like that, they can also be gained from Mythic Plus, which is a non-stop farmable content.
That
Obviously,
I hate that. Like, the fact that you have to go and farm Mythic Plus for these trinkets and gear and stuff, I found it's just so boring. Like, it just takes forever. And if Mythic Plus didn't have Titan Forging, I'd think it was fine. But the problem is that Mythic Plus does have Titan Forging, which means that you have to go in there constantly and do Waycrest Manor to farm out some bullshit trinket, and then whenever the next season comes out, you have to do it again. And you never get the best item. And so I'm happy that the Benthic items are in the game, because at least then you have the item that you want, and you can make it and craft it yourself. And it's BIS.
You need a Titan Fortune there, but you get the idea that you can just keep trying, and you can get a lucky there, but overall, some players are looking at this going, I have so little character progression to look forward to before the new content even really comes out. And that's a really sad fact for a lot of people to face, and understandably so. What are the pros to this system? Let's talk about the pros. Obviously, from like a casual player's perspective, we can look at this and say, I'm getting really good armor without having to take part in any multiplayer content at all. And we know there's a lot of people who, for some fucking reason, and it still blows my mind, play a massively multiplayer online game and desperately do not want to take part in the multiplayer aspects of it, and are more than happy to farm world quests over
that's
and over
true.
again. And we've seen many posts recently of people who are doing emissary quests like 7 or 8 times a day on 7 or 8 different characters, and that's their gameplay, which is hours and hours of gameplay, but they're literally just cycling through emissary quests over and over and over and over again.
Sounds very fun. As I said, I think that the traits and everything are fine, and this is like one of the examples where this Benthic armor is bad for the top, like maybe 3 or 5% of players, but everywhere below that, it gives all of those players a way to actually progress and move their character forward that they have a certain degree of control over. Yes, obviously the Benthic armor is RNG what you roll, but it's not RNG what you upgrade. So you basically just roll until you get the item that you want with a socket, and then you upgrade that up. I think that is a very, very good combination of deterministic RNG deterministic upgrades and power with a little bit of RNG. I think that's fine. It's my opinion.
And now they're probably pretty happy that they're going to get the best piece of armor. Now, I say this is a raider problem, and it is, because this stuff
it is a raider
works
problem
in Nazjatar, Mechagon, I think, and the Eternal Palace, the new raid.
Okay.
It doesn't work in Mythic Plus. So the Benthic armor doesn't take effect of these extra bonuses in Mythic Plus. So for that, you will need to get extra gear. It doesn't work in PvP either. So it's a very raider-specific problem.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so I don't want everyone to lose their minds. Like, oh, everybody's getting the best gear in the world, dead easy. No, but for raiders, this is the case. And it's also led to the Benthic Lottery. What is the Benthic Lottery? Well, as people have started working out that this Benthic armor is so powerful, the trick has been, of course, to get as many capped alts as you have, throw them through Nazjatar very quickly, and on your first time through, you get like tokens. 80 mana pearls, which is the currency to buy Benthic armor. Each piece only costs 5 mana pearls, So you can run a character through there, and in an hour or so, you'll have 80 mana pearls, and then you can just buy an absolute ton of bracers, if bracers happens to be your best.
I don't see anything wrong with this.
Send them all to your main character. So this whole purpose of your alt character is just to get mana pearls, to buy this armor that this character is never going to use, send it over to your main character, and then just sit there and play the lottery and hope that it will proc the correct piece, because there are multiple affixes per. So
because you're not a top raider. Well, you're absolutely right, Varian. I'm not. Do you think that the perceived problem by top raiders with this system should influence the entire game? Like, Preach he's a very high-end raider. Just because some players are... No, yeah, of course not. Of course not. Like, this is a good system for 95% of the player base that doesn't even it hurts a little bit of the progression that, like, high-end raiders have. But, I mean, the progression system was RNG to begin with. It was a shit progression system anyway.
Just keep watching!
Like 4 or 5 different types of bracers. Get the right one with a gem slot, because that means that you have the best one, and that's the one you can upgrade indefinitely, and you'll be fine and dandy. So this is what it's led a lot of players to be doing who care about character progression. So I think we should probably mention here the guys who think this is toxic. If your mindset is that people who play an RPG care about their character progression and want their characters to be the best it possibly can be,
sounds good.
Toxic, I'm kind of lost in the discussion with you. I really am at this point.
Yeah, they're fucking idiots.
Perfectly normal to me that if you're playing an RPG, you want your character to be as strong as it possibly can be.
That's what would make sense.
I don't see why I don't see this seemingly growing mindset, and it might not be the mindset that is somehow a bad thing. It seems like almost pointing at people for doing well and going, "You suck," like a schoolyard bully thing. That's what it feels like to me, anyway.
Okay.
So this is what's happening. This is what's going on in the game right now. I'm taking part in it myself because I'm a raider. Of course, I want to get the best armor my character can
I'd be
get
doing
if
the
I'm
same
going
thing
into
if
a
I
brand
was
new
raiding.
raid facing very difficult bosses.
Of course I would.
My character being the best it can be will probably help in order to defeat those bosses.
Probably,
especially
yes.
when it's multiplied by my entire guild doing the exact same thing.
Yes.
As are most guilds across the entire player base right now who are looking forward to the new Eternal Palace raid.
Okay.
Now, the negatives of this. Let's be reasonable here. The negatives of this. One, much less character progression to look forward to in general, right? That's just going to be a thing. The potential for farm raiding is what bothers me the most, actually. Along with the next point I'm going to make. These next 2 points are my most concerning. If there's very little character progression to be done, once the bosses die, what's the incentive to keep playing at all? It's kind of the same issue we had with Uldia, where it became very apparent that the gear was so seasonal that farming raids and sticking together with your teammates and doing that kind of thing was kind of becoming a total waste of time.
It is. It's a complete waste of time. Like, going back, after you clear the raid once, there's no reason to go back. Why? So you can get the same piece of gear, but this time it has a socket on it, maybe? You can get the same piece of gear, but maybe it's 5 item levels higher? What kind of a fucking idiot dedicates specific nights of their week to go in there to roll the lottery on a piece of gear to hopefully get 5 extra item levels on it, only for it to get replaced 3 months later? You've got to be a fucking moron. So who cares about what happens for farm raids? I mean, it can farm the other pieces anyway, right? And I really just don't see how this is any sort of a meaningful problem for anyone. Except for, like, maybe a few no-lifers that want to progress every single piece of game. It's how video games work. It's not how WoW used to work, and WoW was better when it didn't work that way. Same with mounts, what the fuck? No, because mounts never become invalidated later on. If I have Invincible, I have Invincible. It's not like there's Season 2 Invincible and this time he's red.
And we could just play another game together. The problem is that destroys guilds, right? I'm sure there's some people out there who've probably never raided who believe that guilds can kill the last boss and then just, like, not disband, but just stop playing and then come back next season.
Yeah.
I really hope people don't think that's a good thing. The whole point is to build a community and work together to progress and make your guild more powerful. That's what the whole idea of a guild is in the first place, and what MMOs are generally built upon.
Yeah.
But that's a bad thing I'm worried about. Is like once the boss is dead, it's like there's really nothing I can get from here without super rare Titan Forges. Which, if this is the system going forward, and the next season they do the same thing, whenever the next raid tier comes out, is they release some more casual armor, which we're just going to have to farm Bejeweled and unlocking ley lines and just tagging mobs.
Yeah, there you go.
I did Nazjatar yesterday with a 3-3-3 rogue. That's how easy it is to complete Nazjatar and get all these pearls. You don't need anything. You can just go in as a fresh character.
Well,
and
it's
just get
designed that
very,
way
very easily. That's obviously a big negative. Like, guilds are just like, well, what? I want to play. And this is the issue we're into. I want to play World of Warcraft. Yet there's really just no reason for me to do it anymore.
See, this is the thing. Is that I think that, obviously these high-end players are like, I want to keep playing. But do I think the systems in the game should be changed to create repeat play and repeat rewards for the top 1% of the players? I don't think so. Well, anyway, like what he's saying here is that I don't think like Titan Forging, I don't think the problem of Mythic Raiders, right? Mythic Raiders running out of things to do once they've completed the entire Mythic Raid is a problem that Blizzard should solve. That doesn't seem like it's a problem. Like, you're done. You beat the game. Wow, you got it. Okay, awesome. And now maybe you can run it a few more times and maybe get the gear. Maybe you can get the gear. It depends. But you can just get best in slot and then wait until the next tier comes out. Or you can do sale runs. You can sell the runs to other people. There's a million different things that guilds can do. And I don't really see the problem, but they want to do mount sales and make money. Well, then they can do that. It's up to them. And they can parse or they can PvP. But the point that I'm trying to make here, I don't want to go too much off on a tangent, is that this whole idea that like content always has to be infinite for every single type of player is, I think, toxic and bad for the game. A lot of people get a lot out of being finished with something, finishing something, being done. Yeah, obviously Mythic Raiders want to play constantly, but I'm sorry, like eight weeks into farm, I don't think anybody's looking forward to doing the same fucking bosses again. Like, I did Mythic and, like, Heroic raiding, like, Heroic back whenever Heroic was Mythic, for years, ever since Burning Crusade. And after a while, I just got fucking tired of it.
And that's sad. It's really, really sad for those guys. And that's a really understandable point those guys are coming in with.
Okay.
The second and other most concerning point I have is how well-tuned is Eternal Palace going to be if there are some characters, which includes mine, by the way, which will be almost at their maximum potential damage output on day one. How well-tuned is this raid going to be? Because we're going to run into one of two scenarios, potentially, which is either Blizzard hasn't really prepared for this, and there's signs of that, given the fact that they've recently nerfed gems, because they just suddenly realized they're way too powerful. And they've also given gem slots guaranteed to Profession gear, and Benthic gear can get gem slots, and now they've realized gem slots are too powerful. Should have seen that coming. Which makes me think, is the Eternal Palace going to either one, be completely squashed, because there are going to be players going into there that don't have any gear progression really happening. They're going to get the bits they missed relatively quickly, and they're going to be super, super strong. Compared to what you would ordinarily see in a raid tier, which is some sort of character progression week on week on week. Obviously, the World First guilds try and push past that as much as possible, but this is a general guild won't run into that. Whereas this time around,
that's not fine. What the fuck, Wolfen? Just a minute. Wolf in 1109. If I had your armory, I can guarantee you're probably like maybe a normal mode or a heroic mode raider. Or maybe, you know what, maybe you do Mythic. Maybe you've killed Mythic Jaina and your guild is world 500th. The problem that you have with high-end guilds clearing content quickly is completely it's completely in your own head. It doesn't matter. Like, this whole idea that these guilds and these fights need to be as hard so Method can't just wipe the raid in like the first day is stupid. That's, again, them designing the game for the top 1% of the player base and then fucking everybody else up. Like, who cares about 1% of the guilds? They should make the fights fulfilling and good, not like super ridiculously hard just to make sure that some really, really high-end guild that literally plays the game more often than somebody goes to their fucking job is able to be challenged by it. It's a completely stupid notion. Games are made for fun. Well, it's not even about fun. It's about making the game fulfilling for everyone and not just designing it for some like micro community. People say that about the ease of leveling though. It's a completely different paradigm because you're doing leveling by yourself and it's paced on your own time. It would be true that wouldn't have 4 different difficulty levels. That's the problem, right? And how is that done for the game? Good point. Yeah, you're right. So they solved that problem by just creating different versions for the raid, and oh wow, now everybody gets to do it and nobody cares.
A lot of guilds are going to be in the scenario where your characters are very, very powerful from day one.
Yeah.
And maybe squash the raid, which would be super disappointing.
Server where
one thing raiders really don't like is a raid that's like, it's done. We waited months for this. Ugh. The other side of it is, are they going to...
But who is we? This is the thing, right? Is who is we? Is we, method? Because, like, if you're... The thing is, like, who is we? Like, this is, like, the top 100 guilds in the world. Everybody else is probably just playing the game naturally. That's what I'm so confused by. Is it nobody else? Good players? It's not just good players, because there are plenty of good players that don't raid because they don't have time. It's so much more than that. You're unironically making casual player arguments? Well, I am, because I care about the health of the game. Like, I'm the biggest advocate for casual players in WoW that we've ever had. And everybody thinks that I'm not. I'm the biggest advocate for casual players. Like, I want casual players to have a good experience. The reason I want to get LFR out of the game, because I think it's bad for casual players. Casual players are what the game is built around. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's bad for it's a bad experience for them. They don't enjoy it. You're talking about Mythic scaling. Mythic, it's not for casuals or most. You're right. But the fact that they had to make Mythic is because they had this idea in their head that they had to create an entire subset of raids all for these top 100 guilds, and it's caused the entire development of raids to become completely contrived and based around the highest type of player and having too many mechanics. It's too complex. Most people don't understand the bosses. They don't understand the mechanics, so they have to make them super easy in LFR. The damage is cosmetic. Nobody feels good whenever they complete the boss because there's nothing they have to learn, and it just is a bullshit. It's just bullshit. That's all it is. It's just fucking bullshit. It's a terrible system.
Tune it sort of like Mythic Unat, where Unat was tuned around having BIS characters, like characters that could barely even potentially
Please invite me if you have a realm up
for
Rust Feather.
Tanking, whatever.
I'm trying to get
this barely do that, and the boss was designed around that. And they're designing it this way, which means mechanically it's going to be extraordinarily hard.
Yeah.
Which, again, is just not an ideal. It's not an ideal to have boss reached a point where... Like, Unat's okay in my mind. I know a lot of people are upset about how Unat was handled, but for me it made perfect sense. Mythic Unat was designed for guilds that had already killed Jaina in the short window between the next one, and gave them a chance to push for something harder, whereas guilds still working on Jaina weren't going to progress onto Unat. It was in a nice niche spot where they could play around with it. Okay. Although I did see a number of people annoyed, even though they weren't particularly taking part in it, that more guilds didn't do Mythic Unat. However, Mythic Unat was designed with a very specific area of the community in mind, given the short window it was going to be accessible, and of course, given the essences were coming which crush Unat. They really destroy Unat, so it's got no challenge whatsoever, and therefore getting the cutting edge or whatever is a real not worthwhile thing. So,
yeah.
Is it Eternal Palace going to be tuned extraordinarily hard? And looking at how Ashara is designed, it could easily be that way, where it's just extraordinarily mind-bogglingly hard. And I'd also say on a personal note here, as Ashara is based on line of sight mechanics, it's not that fun, right? It's not that fun to be out of line of sight of being something that you have to deal with all the time.
Yeah,
and having to just stand and not do damage while you hide or have to go around corners and pillars and things, which could get very tedious in terms of that progression. It's not a fight I'm particularly looking forward to, I'll be honest with you. Anyway, that's the Benthic problem. Love to see your thoughts on that. I really would. Is it a good thing, having all this accessible gear, or is it spoiling it for you that the best gear in an RPG literally in multiple slots is now coming from World Quests, which is unnecessary. Talking of unnecessary.
Let's be honest, though. In Vanilla WoW, the Lionheart Helm just came from blacksmithing. There are plenty of items that were valid all the way up until like AQ40 that were just crafting gear. So there are plenty of examples of this being the case previously in the game, and it being a good thing, like Darkmoon cards being really good in Wrath of the Lich King. We had the Darkmoon card being really good, the Fathoms card being good here, that you're able to get very early on in the expansion. There's a lot of examples of that happening. I actually think that it's completely fine, personally. Everything has to come from raids. It shouldn't. In order to have the best character possible, you should have to do all of the content possible. I don't like the idea of Blizzard trying to create micro-communities. It's been bad for the game.
It's so close to not being the case. So my issue here is that's all that stuff, right? That's all the Benthic armor stuff as it is right now. Let's dispense with that for now. Why in the fuck are we even having this problem? At this point, why in the actual fuck are we having this issue?
Because Blizzard is fixated on random rewards. Surprise mechanics! Oh boy! That's why, is they're fixated on these random rewards. And they want to have different levels of RNG that keep you fucking turning that hamster wheel forever. That's why. That's the whole reason. Like, that's why we have Titan Forging. That's why there's so much RNG. That's why you can never accomplish a goal in the game anymore. Because Blizzard puts up all these artificial barriers to make sure it doesn't happen.
This whole concept of gear being ubiquitous across every aspect of the game.
Yep.
Is just so boring and tedious and annoying and only leads to discussions like this. It only leads to people being pissed off or being like happy for what I believe are the wrong reasons, but they're happy, so they're happy. Mad. Right? I'm not going to try and take happiness away.
I will.
But why in the actual titty-loving Christ is this even a thing? Let me explain. Nazjatar and Mechagon are so primed to have an amazing, wonderfully creative set of armor designed around being in that zone. Where they could have done totally a huge number of affixes, which made being in those zones super fun.
Okay.
Off the top of my goddamn head, right? Nazjatar armor, Benthic armor, that these guys who've been living there and struggling against the Naga for 10,000 years have come up with themselves, which make being in Nazjatar a way of survival and a way of dealing with the issues there. You could have had armor. Excuse me, I've still got the flu. You could have had armor in
Here comes Preach with a dozen ideas that's better than Blizzard has ever thought of anything in the game, right? Preach has a lot of really, really great ideas for the game. I wish that Blizzard would consult with him more often, but unfortunately, Preach exploited a potion 6 months ago, so Blizzard now will never talk to him because he committed the cardinal sin of exploiting the game and leveling his characters up too fast.
That gave you really cool
Someone's going to hell.
And useful features. They could have had a chest piece that literally came with a trident on it, that actually visually stuck out in your character. And this trident allows you to throw it extreme long distances, do great damage to rare mobs, and pull you towards the target. That's a lot of problems people have with zones like Nazjatar, tagging rare mobs and getting to them. So what you can have is this fucking trident that you throw, and it tags you there. You could also have had nets with dealing with fish people. So if you don't want the rare tagging thing, because now maybe you've got flying or tagging mobs for your character, now you could have had nets which actually slow whole areas of things.
More than just a mate.
Sorry about that. Someone just subscribed to me while I was talking. My apologies. Thank you for you.
I was so fucking confused, dude.
You could have had a different chest piece, which applies nets, which slows everything, or groups things together. You could have had a belt pack, which covers your character in chum, massively increasing the radius at which you attract mobs, so you can do big AoE pulls. Similarly,
shit!
You could have had a belt that covers you in kelp, and stuff to the scenery, allowing you to blend in, so you pull way less enemies.
There are so
many easy to
That's
think
a really
ideas.
good idea. I love that.
Capes that increase the drop chance of mana pearls, if mana pearls is what you're looking for. That increase the drop chance of rare items that you're looking for. Increase the drop chance of reputation
exactly
items.
what I was saying.
All these things that you might want to focus your character on. Things
This is
that
great.
allow you to instantly shoot to the sky or even summon a manta ray temporarily, right? You could have had shoulders that have some sort of manta ray blinkers on them. And this is all visually and cosmetic applied to your character, which allow you to attract local wildlife, allow you to do various things. And it's all contained within Nazjatar. Guess what would happen then, in my opinion? This is my guess. People would come up and design their own Nazjatar gear set for how they like to do Nazjatar. Has no effect on the raid whatsoever. Has no effect on Mechagon. Has no effect anywhere else. But when I'm in Nazjatar with this gear, I'm fucking awesome.
I would like that a lot.
Fucking awesome. I've got all this cool
that'd be
shit
awesome.
that allows me to do this stuff. Let's go to Mechagon. Same thing again. How in the actual titty-loving Christ did we not think maybe, given the fact and the nature and the theme of this zone, that we can actually build essentially a modified set of power armor which works in Mechagon? We have the robot there. This is what I'm saying.
We have the technology. We can rebuild him. That's true. Holy shit, man. I never even thought it. Don't just because you're Cody fan. EJ, thanks for the $20. Appreciate that. McConnell annoying. Go eat my friend. 2-swap McConnell. Thank you guys very much. Tony for $10. Appreciate that. Hell Asmongold. I logged my Vanilla Alley Warlock the other day and discovered I have the Epic Dreadsteed quest mats. If you ever need to kill the rare boss or transmog or stream content, I'd love to help you, bro. Thank you very much, Amalio, for the $5. Tom Kerr, thank you very much for the tier 3 sub. I appreciate that, man. Are any of these skills even ready for Mythic? 8 of 8. Heroic? None of them? I don't know about that. I have no idea. Placing top in the world without giving everything we had. Cap. I don't know about that. Power Blaster, thank you very much for the 5. I appreciate that. I just wanted to make sure that I read all of those. The Warlock thing, I don't know. I mean, I've already done that before on my stream, but maybe sometime we could do it if people were interested in seeing the Warlock hidden boss. I just wanted to catch up with those.
So close to having something really cool.
And by the way, we are going to be doing the speed run for BOD after we finish this this video. We're going to try to clear it in under an hour.
Yeah, no, we could have this whole storyline where it's like, well, I don't want to modify and rip off my arm and replace it with an armor. Right. But I would gladly wear some blocky, robotic armor while I'm in Mechagon, because it only works in Mechagon, right? It's only got all these bonuses in Mechagon, which allow me to do some really cool fucking shit. I can apply jetpacks to it, right? And that's visually attached to it, onto this cool, blocky-looking armor. Of course, you could transmog it away if you really don't like it.
Right.
But you could have had a ton of fun modifying this armor that straps your character to make you look like a robot. And similarly...
That would be fucking awesome.
Similarly to what we had in Nazjatar, you could have modified your armor so that it blends you into the environment, so it's got like radio interference,
like camouflage,
things like that. You can apply treads so you can move much faster. So now you literally have fucking wheels that you can roll around on, because we're in a robotic, mechanized zone.
Makes sense.
We're building giant arachno spiders. Can I not get something like what Spider-Man has, which allows me to fucking shoot things out the sides? Right? Can't I get that? Why not? It's a fucking World Quest zone. What's the problem? Why can't I get that? That works there, and it's powered by the local area, so obviously I can't go to a different zone and work it. There's a power source in Mechagon provided by the Rust Bolt Resistance, which allows it to work there. It requires energy cells to work.
That would be awesome.
All this stuff
that'd be amazing.
Could be done to make that zone so much more fun. Because while I'm there, I can modify it, I can do paint jobs. Again, we're so close to having this be really cool, in my opinion, and making this zone super cool, and it has no effect anywhere else. If I take this gear to a dungeon or something, it still has its raw stats, just as Benthic gear does, but it doesn't have any of these bonuses. And similarly, when I get gear from Nazjatar, the Eternal Palace, I should say, it has bonuses and affixes and things that work inside there because of the environment I'm in. There's guaranteed to be some power source, some energy, something that's happening there.
Can we, right now, I just want to say right now, he's in chat, can we at McElreevy and say congrats, bro? He just got flying. Congrats, dude. It's been a while. I just saw him in guild chat. He just got his mount right there. Nice fucking job, dude. It's about goddamn time. Congratulations, Zach. Nice fucking job. Okay, just 1 second. I want to make sure I pause that. I said something about it. Congratulations, dude.
Maybe
a little bit late, but that's okay.
Power of N'Zoth, which lurks below, which is allowing some extra bonuses that really help me play around inside there. But it works there. I'm not going to be terrible if I go to the old zone. I'm not going to be terrible. It's not like I'm not wearing gear when I go back to Nazjatar and Mechagon. I have raw stat gear. If I only raid and I need to do dailies, my gear is fine. Is it tailor-made and designed and going to provide many more options for me? No. But what I would do as a raider, I absolutely would do this, is I would have my raid set. If I was going to do Nazjatar, I would switch to my Nazjatar set, which is visually and cosmetically themed to that zone and provides me a ton of bonuses.
Visually doesn't matter.
I would even have the extra action button be something that's dynamic. depending on how far I'm away. If I'm close, it changes what it does. So I can play around with just one extra button, which allows me to do all kinds of extra things with my character.
One thing, I agree with what he's saying, but I also don't think the two things, the current system and his proposed system, should be mutually exclusive. I like the idea of being able to get content from world quests and get items from world quests that you can work towards with some sort of a deterministic, direction, and you're able to get those items and work towards those. Those types of things being really good in raids, I think, is awesome. And I would like to see more elements of the game. That's why I really like essences too, for the same reason. It's because you had to do different content outside of your lane of content in order to get sometimes the best essences in the game. And I think that's really what makes the game the World of Warcraft. And I don't like the idea that every single system should only be this closed system that doesn't interact with and overlay and just overlap with the other better systems, or not better systems, but the other systems in the game. Like, I'll be honest, this is going to make like 5 people mad. I can guarantee there's going to be 5 people mad whenever I say this. I liked that the pet battles in Nazjatar and Mechagon gave you a lot of extra reputation. I like that. Because that made pet battles relevant. It made them matter. Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Easy as fuck in my mind. And way more fun.
Okay.
And we don't end up in this discussion where it's like, why the fuck is the best possible armor in an RPG coming from playing Bejeweled? Which is a legitimate argument we're having right now. Right? Again, I'm not convinced it's a good or a bad thing. We'll see how it plays out. It has potential to be good, It has potential to be bad. I'm just saying that for me, there's so many more opportunities to have way, way more fun with this stuff, right? Way, way more fun, more interesting stuff, more player customization in each of these zones, and make me probably want to do that. I could kind of see myself, if I could play around with my armor and make a big, stupid, like, fucking Lost in Space armor set.
Warning.
Oh, shit. Is that Star Wars? What the fuck?
While I'm in Mechagon, I would probably have more fun. I probably would if I could color it and do all this kind of stuff, which
man.
we know the
I haven't seen
functionality
that in
for
a
this
long
stuff
time.
is in the game. It's in Mechagon right now, but it's just used in a sort of base ground level way.
Okay.
And maybe I'm way off base here, but am I wrong to think that that would be better? And as I said, it's not like this gear doesn't work in the raids. It just doesn't carry all these extra benefits. So you still go in fine. And if anybody's going to say, yeah, but won't that really screw up like how much damage I do in the raid versus how much damage I do in X, Y, and Z zone?
That's how it was in ICC.
Nothing I've really said is about dealing DPS.
That already happened.
Any of these bonuses that come in that are like percentage crit increased damage, does extra damage to certain things, like that's boring. It's really boring and it creates imbalance and problems. Instead, think of fun stuff. Shooting across the zone, throwing a fucking trident like Aquaman.
Why not both, man?
That's pretty fucking cool to me. Allows me to tag a rare mob that I've seen in the distance. Allows me to shoot up and grab things out of the sky without having to wait for a quest item to do it. I can actually just equip a chest piece or a pair of gloves that have something like that, so I can Batman around the fucking place.
That
and
makes
you know
sense.
why? Because that's what the guys who lived there for 10,000 years, that's how they survived. That's how they got their Fathom Ray meat. They had to learn how to do this stuff. And that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. Anyway, end of rants, end of discussion. In summary, I just feel like so much of this is unnecessary. We have to go into these deep dive conversations about systems that are overlaid and intricate and working together and levels of difficulty to acquire them and all this kind of stuff like we're having with the Benthic gear. And for me, it just feels like it's so unnecessary because it just doesn't need to be this way. It really doesn't.
Well, here's what they can do. They can just make Mythic Raids drop the best gear. So here's what they do. You take Mythic Raids and you scale down. Here's what you do. I'll go... Actually, you know what? Let's finish the video, then I'll show you guys what I would do right now.
There's no reason that people who are really super focused on doing world quests and stuff should also be getting the best in slot raid armor. That, to me, that's nonsense. It doesn't work like that in any other fucking video game in the world. It's so crazy.
Except for Classic WoW.
It's so crazy. And if it's item level you want, put the item level up to a fucking 1,000. I couldn't give a shit. I couldn't give a shit. Nearly every raider in the world right now is dropping their item level for better DPS. That's what they care about. The number on their screen they don't care about. Put the item level of fucking World Quest gear up to 18,000 if it makes those guys happy. I don't give a fuck. I couldn't give a fuck. What I do care about is...
He doesn't care.
One, this needless convoluted mess of gearing where you seemingly at this point have to play every single aspect of the game, whether you like it or not, to enjoy the one thing you do enjoy. And no, it hasn't always been this way, and I think this is another thing that people say. It's always been this way. No, it hasn't. When was it this way? Can you tell me how much stuff you had to do before you started raiding? Let's even just go back to Warlords of Draenor.
Okay.
In fact, most people tell you they raid log throughout that entire expansion. That's 2 expansions.
Well, yeah, a lot of raiders love to log.
In Legion is when it really picked up.
They didn't have to do anything.
Farming and fucking AP and all this kind of stuff. This endless grind that needed to take place.
Yeah, I don't like the endless grind.
And now we're here, where you've got people who just want to raid, or just want to do Mythic Plus, who just want to do this stuff, who are farming their fucking arse off on characters they have no intention of playing for shitty pearls.
You're right. It's a dumb way of doing it. He's right. It's dumb. That you should go on your alts and buy the items on your alts and mail them to your main and identify them on your main. It's stupid. It actually is a dumb system. But you know what would be even dumber? Is to change the system that works for 99% of the population because raiders don't like it. Who cares? Like, if Mythic Raiders don't like it, that doesn't mean that the entire game should change.
For shitty fucking pearls, because for some reason that's now the best stuff in the game.
Right.
And they don't enjoy it, and I can see why they're angry, because it's like, why does this even happen this way? Why does this happen this way? And again, we'll probably get back to, well, you don't have to do it. It's like, we've already discussed that issue to death. I'd love to know your thoughts, right? I just feel like there's a better, more interesting way of going about this, and we're almost fucking there. Like, it seems like the idea is there, it's just not implemented.
Well, he's very right about that.
Let's do it, right? Let's do it.
Preach is very, very right about that. Oh, can somebody invite me over to a realm with this rare up? Real quick, I just want to say, so the video, obviously, Preach brings up a lot of really good points that obviously Blizzard has been doing a better job in recent times. Blizzard has been doing a much better job in recent times of being able to create content and do things that are a little bit more... Oh, here we go. So basically... I have no problem with like getting some raid gear and like content or like items that are really good in the game from like different weird like kind of off the wall sources. It's okay. It's not a big deal to me. Obviously, whenever it's like all of the best in slot pieces, that might be a little bit too much. Like 4 or 5 best in slot pieces. That's pretty intense. So it's a matter of degree. But I like the idea of Blizzard creating new systems and new things in the game, like the items in Crucible of Storms.